Hi, this is Bob Cargill. It is Saturday, November 19, 2016, and I'm here in Boston on the Charles River. As you can see behind me, the Esplanade in front of me, off to my right, the Hat Shell, and I have a tennis ball in my hands, and this tennis ball is going to be part of my story. It's my prop, if you will. When I was a kid, I remember this very, very clearly. I used to go up the street on Lewis Street in Franklin. I had, and this is when I was young, probably 8, 9, 10 years old, I had painted, or maybe with chalk, I can't remember, the strike zone on the back wall of the store there in the parking lot. And apparently it was abandoned or off hours. There were no cars in that parking lot. And I said the strike zone, that might have thrown you. You might have said, what do you mean? I was practicing. I would practice pitching because I was a little league pitcher. And I would practice throwing a tennis ball against the wall into the strike zone time after time after time after time. I would do it repetitively. I would just throw the tennis ball back and forth. It would bounce off the wall, back into my glove, throw it again, back into my glove, throw it again, over and over and over again. What is my point? I'm going to make a point. Malcolm Gladwell, in his book, Outliers, talks about the 10,000 hour rule. So I'm not talking about 10,000 hours necessarily throwing tennis balls against the wall, maybe 10,000 pitches. But the point I'm making, he talks about to do something at world-class level, you have to have done it. To do something well, to become an expert at something, you have to have done it for about 10,000 hours. So where am I going with all of this? Let me make the biggest point of what I'm talking about now. Social media, business in general. People think there are shortcuts to success. There aren't any. I'm talking about social media and marketing specifically because that's what I do for business. If you are in social media and marketing, and then take this to a broader level, business in general, and a real broad level, life in general, you cannot be an expert in what you do unless you have done it repeatedly, over and over and over again. That is the only way to become an expert. I have been in marketing for over 30 years. So long, I'm almost embarrassed to admit it's been that long, but that's a long time. That means I've been doing it over and over and over again. I have been doing social media for many years now, okay? Over and over and over again. Tweeting, writing articles, writing blog posts, speaking in front of groups. It is very important, whatever you do, if you want to be looked at as an expert in your field, to have done it over and over and over again. Think of Malcolm Gladwell's book, The 10,000 Hour Rule. To be perceived and recognized and respected as an expert, to do something at world-class level, you need to have done something for about 10,000 hours. I think back to when I was a kid, throwing this tennis ball against the wall, behind the store, up the street on Lewis Street in Franklin. I would throw the ball against the wall into the strike zone until I had it down pat, until I could go and pitch in a Little League baseball game and throw strikes over and over and over again. That's how I approach my job. That's how I approach writing. That's how I approach marketing. That's how I approach social media. That's how I approach business. That's how I approach life in general. And I'm recommending, suggesting, urging, that's how you approach everything you do too. This is Bob Cargill coming to you from the Charles River in Boston, Saturday, November 19, 2016. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.